terms of like servicing your customer, the same thing. It's coming off. I can feel when someone's trying to sell me something.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't, like, for one, you're not even listening to me. Like, I don't feel like you're listening to me. I was talking to my man, Tony, my mentor, Tony Abraham. Shouts out to Tony. He'll be on the podcast soon. But he started talking about peeling back the layers, right? And he said, that's where I got that quote from. I'm sure he got it from somewhere. Seek to understand before you seek to be understood.
Yep.
He said, if you ask someone a question, you start the process of peeling back the layers of the onion. Well, someone says, well, can you help me become an entrepreneur? And I'm a coach. And I say, well, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? And I say, well, because I want financial freedom. And that kind of peels back a layer. Well, what does financial freedom look like for you? They said, well, I want to make enough money to take care of me and my spouse and our children because this is happening in our family. Oh, well, so what type of work are you willing to put in? Like, we got to dig deep and say, are you ready for this level of, and if you start talking to the person, you're peeling back the layers of the onion, and they'll feel trusted to trust you as a coach or an advisor or a therapist or whatever, if it's not always on the clock and you're really trying to understand their situation. Sometimes you got to turn down some clients who have the money. But some people never get to the bottom of the onion to realize, yo, I think somebody else would be better for you. That's true customer service, and that's how you continue to get people to come back.
So, I just had this thought. In the beginning, when you're becoming an entrepreneur, at first, becoming an entrepreneur is all about you. If you want to be a better entrepreneur, entrepreneurship needs to be about the people that you serve. At first, it's all about you. At first, why are you an entrepreneur? Well, it's because I want financial freedom. I want to retire my mom. I want to send my daughter to college. But then as you're working through your process, like if you're doing a good job, you can't help but to notice the results that you're getting for other people. You can't help but to feel a way when people are tagging you wearing your product or using your product or bragging about your services, and you desire for more of that.
Yeah.
And in order to get more of that, that means that you have to help people have more transformations. If you're a product-based business, that means that you have to help more people have good experiences with your product.
Yeah.
It becomes then about, if you're a good entrepreneur, if you desire to be a good entrepreneur, it becomes less of you, right? At first, it's all about you, but it evolves into being less of you and more about your customer. And the key to that is, when you start thinking about the result and the customer, like, man, I really like how it felt for somebody to tag me and say that because of my leadership, their life changed. Wow, I really like for somebody to say this is one of the best jogging suits that they've ever received from a Black entrepreneur. Then you start saying, I want to do more of that. How can I make my fabric better? How can I make my service better? Because I want more of those kind of results, right? When you help more people, you get more of what you want by default.
That's a fact.
So it doesn't have to be about your 6-figure goal. It doesn't have to be about your 7-figure goal. Make it about your customer through delivering service. It's never about you.
I had a mindset shift in, like, when I was working at the Cheesecake Factory, where my goal was to get better there. And previously, when we have a slow night or a busy night around prom season, golly, listen, around prom season is the worst time to be a server, especially at the Cheesecake Factory or a kind of a upper...
They're not tipping?
What,
They're not tipping.
16-year-old?
Their mama sent them with the money to tip, but they are not using it. Yes.
Oh my gosh, they have no idea what they want. They don't care about sending something back if they don't like it. It's...
Rudely. What is this? This is not what we ordered. I ain't want this. I ain't get that.
The calendar pennies. I'm sorry, I just had a flashback. But I was, when I started working, when I was working there, I was just like everybody else, where we'll complain about the nights, we'll complain about the guests, that they didn't tip me, they didn't tip me, they got me running, they keep sending food back, the bartender is not bringing the drinks out fast enough, things of that nature. So it was just a complaint fest. But then I had a shift where I'm saying, this job isn't for me to make money. This job is to be paid training to be something else. So it gave me an opportunity to be to work on time, because I was always late everywhere. So that's why I'm such a stickler for time now, because when I was working there, I got in the habit of, I gotta stop being late everywhere. So I need to get there a little bit early And if I'm not there early, then I'm late, even if I'm on time for the job. Because I just needed that training. And I just had this shift of, if a guest I'm serving has a problem, I have an opportunity to fix it. And if I can't fix this problem, I'll never be an entrepreneur where I'm going to have to fix bigger problems. So it was like a training ground. So when I really started to fall in love with the process of doing my job, that was the beginning of my exit. But if I never adopted let me just be a better server. Let me be a better server. Let me be a better person. Let me work on my communication skills with this particular job. If I didn't have that awakening, I'd still be there.
You asked, what would you do if you had to do it all over? And this goes to the essence of what I was saying when I said I would focus on becoming something special. Because if you are focused on becoming something special, becoming somebody powerful, becoming somebody knowledgeable, somebody that gets stuff done and is, looking to rise to the top of whatever it is that you do, I think it doesn't matter who you're with, because the focus is to become something. Personal development, it's just so underrated. And we mindset training is so underrated, but not the skill of doing something, but becoming a resourceful person. You know what I mean? Becoming a thinker, becoming good at communication, or just really, I would have for sure focused on becoming really, really, really good at something.
Yeah.
Whatever that's going to be.
Yeah. And everything is always in hindsight looking a whole lot better than it happens in real life. I know I would have taken a whole lot more time getting clear early on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's really easy to mistake things that you're good at for what you're purposed to do. I'm good at a lot of stuff, but I'm not purposed to do that.
For the last couple of years, I've been in rooms that people really, really impressive income. And I'm not even close to that, but they are impressed with what I do. That really gives me a surety. And for everybody, if you do anything well, it don't got to be about making a whole lot of money, but there are some people who cannot figure out how to do what you do.
Yeah.
There's a guy who make $20-something million a year, and he's like, man, you got a podcast? How do you start it? Oh my gosh. He's like, yo, can I just fly you down to Miami, and I want to talk to you about how to get it going, man. Creating content is just, you might be there and be like, yo, you make the reel. You just put the music here. But some people just can't figure it out. But the cool thing is, if you do anything well, you will fit right in any high-level environment.
And that's really interesting. And it's the truth. So, and then being in those environments, they're just good for you. So, for example, anytime me and Wall Street Trapper are in the same room, what I love most about, it's not what I love most about him, but one thing that I really love about Trap is he has no issue saying, Donni helped me do this, right? He will put me on to everybody that he knows. All of my clients that ever paid me $100,000 for my services came from Trap. They were all referrals from Trap. So we're in this environment and he's at the end of the table.
You have clients to pay you $100,000?
Not anymore. I eliminated that service. So it was when I was sitting in his operations. You remember that we discussed it. Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah. So
come on up, guys. Come on. Hang out with us. All
that
right?
was, so we're at the lunch and I hear Trap down there talking. He's talking to some other people at the end of the table with him, telling them about his first time having the confidence to sell a high ticket was when we did the program. And, Trap fought me for a long time on Trap, it has to be, I was going $10,000. And he's like, nah, Donni, I don't know. People gonna buy it, And we ended up literally backstage coming up with his very first high ticket. And I believe at that time it was $7,000. During that event, 3 hours after we pitched it, he did $500,000 just in those first 3 hours. And then of course did more throughout the event. And the group was really valuable and impactful. And he never has to, he can take full credit for that. He never has to mention my name at all, but he always mentions my name. And so fast forward to what you're talking about, these people who make so much money, these these people, like even like Annetta Powell that night when we were sitting by the pool, she's like, so tell me more about what you do. And I'm like, girl, you crushed me in income. Like, why? Tell me more about what you do. But it's how you grow. So even when you're not at the top of the ladder, even when you sometimes feel like you don't belong, get in the room.
Like, we're really thinking like big. How can we really, really change like kind of like that entrepreneurial landscape, and we create unheard of results? So that's like big, right? We were talking on the call this morning about just going after something big. And in every industry, there's a gap. There's something that's not happening, and then someone sees it and it happens, right? So I think we need to figure out how we can dominate the whole space, and not even a whole space. So for instance, podcasting is something I'm really, really passionate about. And I see that there's a gap of a large gathering of people delivering information, solid information, like really, really good information. And especially us, we haven't brought together our podcast community, right? There's a couple different conferences out there, but I just text my mentor. I say, yo, I fully plan on owning the podcast conference space. So the space within conferencing, right? Anybody that occupies a space within an industry, you've got to give them $1 billion. So think about, when you think of a tire, what company comes to mind? Goodyear. How do we all think of Goodyear? Because they say, yo, we don't got to focus on cars, but tires of a car. And I don't know how long they've been doing it, but I would imagine it was before cars were, it's probably been 100 years or so, right? Somebody look up when Goodyear started. Let's see it. I think they decided to dominate a space, right? Moving companies, they see people that are having an issue moving. When you think of moving companies, what do you need? You need a U-Haul. They said, I'm going to occupy that space of moving. We'll do this one specific thing. And McDonald's dominated fast food industry for decades, right? And Burger King makes a much better burger, but they were behind. So they'll never catch up to McDonald's. So, and if it wasn't for the world changing with health and stuff like that, or like the understanding what goes in McDonald's food, I think it's still dominate, but like domination in a space, not just doing well. That's my whole message right now is what can we find that we can dominate in? Purpose.
Here we go.
Is overrated.
Tell me more.
That's a soundbite for you. Maybe we'll name this episode Purpose is Overrated.
Tell me more.
You are operating in your purpose, so to speak. But if you are operating in what you call purpose long enough, most of the time, it changes.
Do you think that the purpose changes, or do you think that the vehicle that you use to achieve that thing changes?
I think the purpose changes. So let's say, for instance, what do you think? Do you think, what would you say my purpose is? If you had to give me something.
I think that your purpose, I can't speak for you about
what do you
what your
think? Just on the surface, if you had to pick one.
Yeah. I think that you are a community leader. I think that you are purposed to lead a community of people, and you do that through community and connectivity.
True. I like it. I think if I did it long enough, eventually I just wouldn't want to do it anymore. Or as you accomplish something, the purpose becomes something else.
Well, I was going to say, it's not that you don't want to do it anymore. Maybe you accomplish something. So let's just say, for example.
So is purpose based on a time frame or a season or a window of time?
No. So I just looked up the actual definition of purpose. And it is the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists.
Okay.
Right? So there are reasons for which you do the morning meetup. There's a reason in which you exist. And if we go down that lane, we'll probably get into a religious conversation or a spiritual conversation. And I kind of want to not do that right now. But we all know that there's a reason that we exist. And for the most part, if I can say, I believe that the reason that we exist is to spread, to live a life in a way that validates and spreads the goodness of God. Right? And we have found our own special way to do that. I believe that my purpose is connected to helping people decide to live a life above average, like not to settle in their lives. And that's something that I have always done. From when I was selling real estate, from when I was selling cars, from when I, had my clothing store. Like for me, I couldn't just own a clothing store and just sell dresses. The same thing. You couldn't just own a kiosk and just sell t-shirts. I would find myself in this clothing store coaching women. Who are you buying this dress for? Your daughter? No way. No way. Right. Bring her in on Sunday when I'm closed. I will work with you guys. Like I have been in pursuit of helping people see the bigger picture and aspire to be more than average, right?
I like that. You know what I think you may not have, you wouldn't have had that experience had you not opened the store, unless you did something else, you'd had that experience. But just for this example, you wouldn't have had the experience of like identifying how an outfit changes someone's feeling and emotion and their self-confidence, things of that nature. You wouldn't have had that experience if you didn't open the store. But if you were thinking, well, my purpose isn't to open a store, you probably wouldn't have opened the store to have that particular experience. And I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs, they're trying to figure out what their purpose is before they get started, when I would encourage you to get started in something. Like just don't let your time be wasted. Don't let your life, if I had to say a purpose, don't let time be wasted. I believe your purpose on this earth is not to waste your time.
For sure.
And some people are wasting their time trying to figure out how to not waste their time.
So I want to maybe talk through, I did a TED Talk and I don't know why it hit me this morning. I did a TED Talk about the life cycle of a good idea.
Okay.
And I want to go through those stages. And you tell me if you agree that this is the life cycle of a good idea. Anybody that has a good idea is going to go through this cycle, okay? The first stage is excitement. You get really excited about an idea, right? You have a good idea, you get really, really excited. How long does that last, the excitement? Sometimes longer than others. Right? But you get excited, but then you have to evolve the idea. So excitement, then evolution. You have to like expound on the idea. When you're not as excited in the evolution stage, because now you're asking yourself questions that you may not have the answer to. Because you have to build on the idea. Okay, I'm going to have the biggest clothing brand in the world, but now as you evolve it, you got to go through different designs and material, and you find out you got to build a website to sell it, and how do you market? You got to evolve the idea. The third stage is engagement. So now you have to engage the world with your idea, which that part is the breaking point for most people. Because when you're engaging other people with your idea, they're not as excited about your idea. You think it's the greatest in the world, and you think, I don't understand how anybody would not buy this. And then you engage people and they don't buy it. And you're like, this is amazing, guys. What do you mean? But from engagement, you either go to expansion, right? You start scaling the business, or you go back around the cycle to excitement, where you get excited about something else. And then you evolve something else, and you engage the crowd with something else. And then if you don't go to expansion, you wind up getting excited about something else.
Mm-hmm.
And we just go through this process of excitement, engagement, evolution, engagement, and we never really get to expansion because we keep the cycle of getting excited about something else.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, first, give me your thoughts, but I want to go through each one because everybody's in a stage. Anybody excited about something right now? You just started it, you're excited? All right, how many people are in the evolution phase where you're building something? It's not a thing yet. You haven't took it to the marketplace yet, but you're building it. Still kind of excited because you're just excited. How about we are in the engagement phase where we have a business that we are actively selling and we get resistance? Some people like it, some people don't. We have ups, downs. We're engaging people. How many people recently went through this process, but now you're back in excitement, you're getting excited about something else because that thing that you went through hasn't really worked out the way you thought it was going to be? If you are just starting something, you probably just came out from building something. And if it doesn't work out, we start rebranding ourselves, or we just want to do something different because the marketplace didn't receive us the way we thought they were going to receive us. When really you got to just keep engaging until you start to understand how to expand. For you, I think we just need to think big in how you are the person that's solving a problem in an industry. Not for a company, but you are solving a problem in an industry. You are solving a problem in our world. But we got to go big, y'all. Like, let's try to make our company like revolutionary, or do something that hasn't been done before. Or even if it's been done, what is something that hasn't happened within the thing that's been done before? Does that make sense? Kind of. So I think it's just really, really important that if we're gonna go after this thing, we go after it. We go after it. Like, let's start. You haven't thought innovatively because you think that you're not innovative, but you're just not looking around. You know what I mean? Like, make your company mean more than just some. Like, that's why I do get frustrated with podcasters, because they just want to put out podcasts. They just want to put out a podcast. You're going to talk your talk, but you don't look at it as how you're changing the world in some way. I believe what we're doing is changing the world in some way.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Especially our ability for y'all to, like, what other podcasts can you come, like, actually be a part of this history? It's almost like Oprah's first studio shooting her show, and then you get to see Oprah go from Oprah to the Oprah show. Yeah. And then it's just these and then it goes from But remember all the people who got a car?
Get a car.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I got it. We're about to start giving out LLCs.
Is that right?
Maybe. We'll do the research. You get an LLC. You get one too.
Man, what I wouldn't give to be in that crowd, those small rooms where Oprah's in the crowd and she's like going at people.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like,
I just got it.
You get to be there. Mm-hmm. And I think Oprah saw that. Like, yo, I'm not going to sit in this pretty little chair with my guests and ask questions. Oprah used to have a mic running. Okay, hold on. Okay, here, you go.
She did.
And then she's standing by the person today. You got something to say? Okay, hold on, give me that. And she's running like who? The being able to see that and then watch her become a billionaire. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Especially from her starting point. Like, we get so caught up in our struggles and where we are right now. Yeah, but you're lucky because you had this, or that person, slept with this person to get the money for her business, or they had parents who left them this and they were able to. Oprah came around at a time where Black women weren't getting prime daytime television with their own face and their own show named after their own likeness, right? She came from a background where she experienced sexual abuse period, right? Single Black woman. She didn't at that time fit the stereotype of the Black women that we saw on TV. Like, there is no excuse. There is absolutely no excuse. It doesn't matter where you are right now or what you came from. You have the option to say, because of where I came from, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
You also have the option to say, because of where I came from, I'm changing the narrative
100%.
and I'm going to do everything.
100%. Can y'all see that you guys are like Oprah at the radio station? You see yourself in that way? Honestly. So some of us see like what we're going to be doing right now, right? Or like, I want to get to the next dollar, or it'd be great if I could make 6 figures or whatever. But I think one thing that's always driven me is being able to see what will be based on what's happening now. Just being able to see a little further. And I'm like in my room, like, this is revolutionary. Oh my gosh. I feel like what's Nikola Tesla? Feel like or Alexander Graham Bell working on the phone, like just seeing, okay, this little thing that I'm doing in the moment is going to help people, but like I just see it changing the world in some way. Mm-hmm. Right? That's why I'm so passionate about like the morning meetup, because where do people get to gather every day? Mm-hmm. And though we are small now, it's, a little over 1,000 people, maybe 1,200 people or so, and the goal is 10,000. I know that it'll be 100,000. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine 1 million people that are in one community? Like, or the people who started a fraternity. You think they started it just to start it, just a group of friends, or somebody saw something, it will be on every major campus in the world. Mm-hmm. But if you don't see the future, it's going to be really hard to stay motivated. It's going to be really hard to stay innovative. Mm-hmm. You're passionate. What you talk about it isn't going to be passionate because you're thinking about getting the next dollar instead of like changing the world in some respect. Yeah. So if you guys are like, if you are like working a job right now, the most important thing I think you could do right now is understand why you're there. What can you get more? I did a training called Get More From Your Job Than a Paycheck. And you got to get more from your job than your job gets from you, because they are going to get their piece from you. They are going to get their value from you 100%. You do the work, bring back the money, they give you your portion of that money. But if, like me and Reese was just talking, like he was kind of discussing, like, I'm not sure what to do in a particular role. And I'm like, one of the most important skills that we can have is being able to express those feelings so we can talk them through. Mm-hmm. Right? Like let's just talk about it, because we need to find out where your major impact is going to be. Becoming something special in a space. You got to figure out what that's going to be.
Got to figure out what that's going to be. And the only way you figure it out is to do. So if I had to do this all over again, one thing that I wouldn't change is how much I've done.
Yeah.
How much I've tried. Mm-hmm. How much I've tried, no matter how scary it was, no matter how minute it seemed. I didn't realize that my career in property management would train me to be a dynamic. I am a COO, but I'm a COO at heart. I'm a CEO, but I'm a COO at heart. Mm-hmm. And it's the 13 years that I spent in property management being the operator of somebody else's asset. Like, you just can't see me there.
Yeah. You know what we didn't get a chance to get either? Is imagine us working for somebody like us earlier on. Mm-hmm. Imagine you 15 years ago working for Donni Wiggins.